Case 1. Linda Cardi. In the quiet suburbs of Houston, Texas, life unfolded with the usual rhythms. Neighbors exchanged pleasantries, children played in the streets, and families settled into their routines. Among them was Linda Cardi, a woman who blended into the community. Formerly a primary school teacher from St. Kitts, she had lived in the U.S. for years, working as a laborer and even as a drug informant. Her life seemed unremarkable, yet beneath the surface, a dark secret brewed. Carty had been separated from her common-law husband and had falsely claimed to be pregnant, fabricating a story to salvage her relationship. When her deception unraveled, she concocted a chilling plan to abduct a newborn to fulfill her fabricated pregnancy. On May 16, 2001, Carty orchestrated the kidnapping and murder of 20-year-old Joanna Rodriguez, a neighbor who had recently given birth. Carty enlisted 3 men, Chris Robinson, Carlos Twin Williams, and Gerald Baby G. Anderson, to invade Rodriguez's apartment. They were told the apartment contained a large stash of drugs. However, the true motive was far more sinister. Carty intended to abduct Rodriguez's infant. Rodriguez was suffocated with a plastic bag, and her body was later found in a car trunk. The baby was discovered alive in a nearby vehicle. The investigation quickly pointed to Carty. She had been seen with baby items and had claimed to be pregnant. Cell phone records revealed multiple calls between her and one of the perpetrators during the early hours of the crime. Additionally, her fingerprints were found in the cars where the victim's body and the baby were discovered. The investigation quickly pointed to Carty. She had been seen with baby items and had claimed to be pregnant. Cell phone records revealed multiple calls between her and one of the perpetrators during the early hours of the crime. Additionally, her fingerprints were found in the cars where the victim's body and the baby were discovered. Despite her claims of being framed by drug dealers she had previously informed on, the evidence was overwhelming. In February 2002, Carty was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to death. The prosecution presented a case suggesting that Carty had orchestrated the crime to cover up her lies about pregnancy. However, Carty maintained her innocence, asserting that she was framed due to her past as a drug informant. Her defense argued that her trial attorney was ineffective, failing to present mitigating evidence and adequately challenge the prosecution's case. Carty's conviction and death sentence have been upheld through multiple appeals, including rejections by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals and the U.S. Supreme Court. Her case has garnered international attention, with the British government filing an amicus brief in her support, citing violations of her consular rights. Despite these efforts, Carty remains on death row, maintaining her innocence. The Linda Cardi case raises profound questions about justice, the reliability of witness testimony, and the potential for miscarriages of justice. It underscores the complexities of the legal system and the importance of ensuring fair trials, especially in capital cases. As Carty's appeals continue to be denied, her story serves as a stark reminder of the stakes involved in the pursuit of justice.
Case 2. Kimberly Clark Sans. In the small town of Lufkin, Texas, life moved at a gentle pace. The Dialysis Clinic, nestled in this community, was a place where patients sought routine care. Among the staff was Kimberly Clark Sans, a licensed vocational nurse known for her quiet demeanor. A mother of 2, Sans appeared to be an ordinary woman leading an unremarkable life. However, beneath this facade lay a troubled history marked by substance abuse and a series of firings from previous healthcare positions due to misconduct. Despite these red flags, she found employment at the clinic, where her descent into darkness would soon unfold. Between April 1 and April 28, 2008, an alarming number of patients at the clinic experienced sudden cardiac arrests during dialysis treatments. 2 patients died on April 1, and over the next few weeks, several others suffered similar fates. Witnesses reported seeing Sans draw bleach into syringes and inject it into patients' dialysis lines. Bleach, a potent disinfectant, is not intended for human injection and can cause fatal reactions. The clinic was temporarily shut down, and Sans was fired, but the damage had been done. The clinic's unusual spike in emergencies prompted an investigation. Authorities discovered that Sans had been present during each incident. Further scrutiny revealed that she had conducted internet searches related to bleach poisoning and its detection in dialysis lines. Forensic tests on syringes and blood samples confirmed the presence of bleach and a biomarker indicating bleach exposure. These findings led to her arrest on charges of capital murder and aggravated assault. In March 2012, Sans stood trial for the deaths of 5 patients and the injuries of others. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, including eyewitness testimony and forensic analysis, while the defense suggested that faulty clinic procedures were to blame. Despite the defense's arguments, the jury convicted Sans of capital murder and 3 counts of aggravated assault. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus additional years for the assault charges. The conviction of Kimberly Clark Sans brought a sense of justice to the victims' families and the community. However, questions lingered. Had there been more victims? What drove Sans to commit such heinous acts? Her refusal to speak about her motives left these questions unanswered, adding to the chilling nature of the case. The case of Kimberly Clark Sans serves as a haunting reminder of the potential for evil within those we trust most. It raises unsettling questions about the vulnerabilities in healthcare systems and the importance of vigilance. While Sans's actions were shocking, the community's response, coming together to seek justice and support the victims, highlighted the resilience of the human spirit in the face of tragedy.
Case 3. Andrea Yates. In the serene neighborhood of Clear Lake City, Houston, the Yates family appeared to lead an idyllic life. Andrea Yates, a former nurse, was a devoted mother to 5 young children: Noah, 7, John, 5, Luke, 3, Paul, 2, and baby Mary, 6 months. Her husband, Rusty, worked at NASA, and they homeschooled their children, living in a modest 3-bedroom home. However, beneath this tranquil exterior, Andrea struggled with severe mental health issues, including postpartum depression, psychosis, and schizophrenia. Despite medical advice to avoid further pregnancies, Andrea gave birth to Mary in November 2000. Her condition deteriorated, leading to multiple hospitalizations and a significant decline in her mental state. On June 20, 2001, after Rusty left for work, Andrea filled the bathtub in the family's home. She methodically drowned each of her children, starting with the youngest, Paul, and ending with Noah, who attempted to flee but was caught. Afterward, she laid their bodies on her bed, covered them with a sheet, and called 911, stating, "I just killed my children." She then phoned Rusty, urging him to return home immediately. Upon his arrival, he found Andrea standing outside, drenched and in a state of shock. The authorities arrived shortly after and discovered the children's bodies inside the home. The investigation revealed that Andrea had been suffering from untreated mental illnesses for years. Medical records indicated that she had been hospitalized multiple times for psychiatric issues, including suicide attempts and psychotic episodes. Despite these red flags, she was left unsupervised on the day of the murders. The prosecution initially argued that Andrea knew her actions were wrong, while the defense contended that she was legally insane at the time. In 2002, she was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison. However, in 2005, her conviction was overturned due to false testimony from a prosecution witness, leading to a retrial. The retrial in 2006 focused on Andrea's mental state at the time of the crime. Expert testimony highlighted her severe postpartum psychosis and delusions, including the belief that she was saving her children from eternal damnation. The prosecution argued that she understood the wrongfulness of her actions. After deliberations, the jury found Andrea not guilty by reason of insanity. She was subsequently committed to the North Texas State Hospital for psychiatric treatment. The verdict sparked national debate over the insanity defense and the treatment of mental illness. Some viewed Andrea as a tragic victim of untreated mental health issues, while others saw her actions as unforgivable. Her ex-husband, Rusty, maintained that Andrea's illness was the root cause of the tragedy and expressed forgiveness. Andrea herself expressed deep remorse and continues to grieve the loss of her children. The case of Andrea Yates brought attention to the importance of recognizing and treating postpartum mental health disorders. It highlighted the need for better support systems for mothers and families dealing with mental illness. In the years following the tragedy, Rusty Yates and others established the Yates Children's Memorial Fund to raise awareness and provide resources for those affected by postpartum depression and psychosis. Andrea remains in psychiatric care, her life a somber reminder of the devastating impact of untreated mental illness.
Case 4. Kimberly Diane Cargill. In the tranquil town of White House, Texas, Kimberly Diane Cargill led a seemingly ordinary life. Born on November 30, 1966, she was a mother of 4, married 3 times, and worked as an office clerk. However, beneath this facade lay a history of manipulation and abuse. Her relationships were marked by allegations of violence and control, including incidents where she reportedly choked her mother and locked her sons in their rooms for hours. In 2010, facing a child abuse investigation and a looming custody hearing, Cargill's fear of losing her children pushed her to a tragic decision. On June 18, 2010, Cargill invited 39-year-old Cherry Walker, her son's mentally challenged babysitter, to dinner. Walker had been subpoenaed to testify in the upcoming custody hearing, a prospect that distressed her. Cargill, fearing Walker's testimony would jeopardize her case, offered to hide her out. During their time together, Walker suffered a seizure and stopped breathing. In a panic, Cargill drove Walker to a rural road, doused her body with lighter fluid, and set it on fire to destroy evidence. The remains were discovered days later, and an autopsy confirmed asphyxiation as the cause of death. Authorities quickly identified Cargill as a suspect. Investigations revealed that Walker had been subpoenaed to testify against Cargill in the custody hearing. The medical examiner determined that Walker died from asphyxiation, and the body showed signs of being dragged and set on fire. Cargill's actions were consistent with a deliberate attempt to destroy evidence. Within a month, she was arrested and charged with capital murder. In May 2012, Cargill stood trial for the murder of Cherry Walker. The prosecution argued that Cargill killed Walker to prevent her from testifying in the custody hearing. Cargill testified that Walker died from a seizure, and she panicked, disposing of the body to avoid suspicion. However, the jury found her guilty of capital murder after considering the evidence and witness testimonies. The defense highlighted Cargill's history of abuse and manipulation, while the prosecution emphasized the premeditated nature of the crime. The jury convicted Kimberly Cargill of capital murder, and she was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Her conviction was upheld on appeal, and she remains on death row at the Patrick O'Daniel Unit in Texas. In 2014, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals denied her appeal, affirming the conviction and sentence. In 2017, the U.S. Supreme Court also declined to hear her case, leaving her death sentence intact. The Kimberly Cargill case raised significant questions about the lengths to which individuals might go to protect their interests, even at the cost of another's life. It highlighted the complexities of human behavior and the potential for ordinary individuals to commit extraordinary crimes. The case also sparked discussions about the effectiveness of the justice system in handling such cases and the moral implications of capital punishment. As Cargill awaits her execution, the community continues to grapple with the impact of her actions and the broader societal issues they illuminate.
Case 5.
Jessica Tata. In the Alief neighborhood of Houston, Texas, Jessica Tata operated a home daycare from her residence on Crest Park near Way Park. At 24 years old, Tata was a young woman who had transitioned from a troubled adolescence to a caregiver role. She had previously been involved in setting fires during her high school years, but she had since moved forward, earning the trust of parents in her community. Her daycare was a place where parents believed their children would be safe and cared for. On February 24, 2011, Tata left 7 toddlers unattended in her home daycare while she went shopping at a nearby Target store. She had left a pan of oil heating on the stove, which ignited, starting a fire that consumed the house. By the time Tata returned, the blaze had tragically claimed the lives of 4 children: Elias Castillo, 16 months, Shomari Dickerson, 3, Elizabeth Koja, 20 months, and Kendall Stratford, 20 months. 3 other children were seriously injured, with one, Michaela Dickerson, suffering severe burns but later surviving after multiple surgeries. Investigators discovered that Tata had left the children alone while she shopped. Surveillance footage from Target showed her shopping around the time the fire started. Neighbors reported hearing the children's cries and attempted rescues. Tata fled to Nigeria shortly after the incident, but was apprehended and extradited back to the United States. She was charged with felony murder and other related offenses. In November 2012, Tata was convicted of felony murder in the death of Elias Castillo. The jury sentenced her to 80 years in prison with eligibility for parole after 30 years.
Prosecutors argued that Tata's repeated negligence in leaving children unsupervised led to the tragedy. Defense attorneys contended that the fire was an accident and that Tata had no intent to harm the children. The case drew significant media attention and public debate about daycare safety and caregiver responsibilities. The jury's decision to convict Tata and impose a lengthy sentence was met with mixed reactions. While some felt justice was served, others believed the sentence was too harsh for what was perceived as a tragic accident. The victims' families expressed their grief and the profound impact of the loss on their lives. Elias' great-grandmother, Patty Sparks, stated, "Nobody wins in this situation," reflecting the deep sorrow felt by all involved. The Aliyef daycare fire serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities children face and the critical importance of responsible caregiving. The case prompted discussions about daycare regulations, caregiver qualifications, and the need for stringent safety measures. It also highlighted the emotional toll on families and the community when trust is broken. The legacy of this tragedy continues to influence policies and practices aimed at preventing such incidents in the future.